Welcome to our second auction price review. Today, we are going to talk about Goldin Auctions, the auction that ended on last Saturday, May 21st, with Gary. This is his third time on the podcast and YouTube channel. How's it going, Gary?
Yeah, pretty good. I think all other markets are completely obliterated in a way. So, it's good to see some high prices somewhere in the world, and it still looks like there were some good sales in this recent Goldin auction.
Yeah. What were you most surprised by?
Again, I think that it's kind of like the non-big sports kind of cards, right? So definitely this Serena one for sure, right? I think that the PWCC, the one we talked about last time, that was when there was the Federer, right? That went for, was it like 60 or 70K?
Something like that. Yeah, the blue card.
Yeah, and then this one, yeah, it's just blew that out of the water. Understandably, I guess, tennis is certainly one of those interesting sports where the women's side of the competition, has equal if not greater stature to the men's competition, right? So Serena definitely, if people were to think of who's the iconic figure, without a doubt, right? She's kind of like the GOAT figure, and then Naomi Osaka is kind of playing the Luka role currently in a way, right? Like the super high potential. And so it'd be interesting to see kind of what cards of hers are going to be considered like the definitive, Osaka card. But this one, I think, is very clear. It's the definitive Serena card.
Yeah, certainly a nice card. The two patch windows. I think her auto looks really interesting. Let's see the back. 71 out of 100. What were you saying, Gary?
Yeah, in terms of like stylistic touches, the way this is the numbering, it reminds me of the old school numbering, right? Like the way that Flair showcases were not, it's like big, bold, like hard stamped numbers, right? Because these days, like what we get out of Prism, right, are like kind of the tiny, if you were to see it in a scan, sometimes on foil cards, you can barely even see what the number is. But this is like, the big, bold, nice numbering, which I like. It has a very nostalgic feel. And I think it's one of those things, like stylistically too, it's just nice to see that the jersey color matches the photo of her. So you can kind of just imagine that it kind of at least came from that outfit, even if it didn't literally. But, I feel like those little details are things that over time certainly have been ignored, I would say, in basketball and a lot of these different RPAs.
Yeah, definitely. I also really like how this image on the left side is like a copy of the image on the right side. It's kind of like that Brady Flair showcase card you were talking about last time. It's kind of like a more like a kind of double image, kind of like the Kobe Flair legacies, right? Where there's kind of like two shadow images. But yeah, this is really cool. Also, the numbering on the back, it's almost like the PMG numbering. I read somewhere that a lot of the grading companies also use the numbers to detect whether or not the cards are real or fake. Like they kind of look at the spacing between the letters.
Definitely, yes. Because I think that, as you can imagine, PMGs, right? Like for all the listeners out there, be very careful. The forged PMGs are probably amongst the most fake cards, period. And the numberings, I hear a lot of stories about just people go on the micro millimeter level, right? So to look at the different spacing to see if it's real or not.
Yeah. Do you know if there's any parallels of this card, or is out of 100 the lowest number?
I think, to my understanding, this is it. This is the kind of rarest variation, which is kind of like the double relic auto. Because she also has that base net pro, right? That one I feel like has been seen all year. In every auction, there's at least one, or sometimes I think in Goldin I've seen sets of 10 be sold. But I definitely don't see these come up every day.
The base net pro with does it have a patch in it, patch auto, or is it?
No, it's just strictly the base card.
Oh,
I think it's Net Pro Elite. Yeah, correct. Yep.
Yeah, I think there's two versions, the base one, and there's also the glossy one. The glossy one is pretty pricey as well. I think it does 40 to 60K in a PSA 10.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, this is interesting. Do you know the Federer card that sold in the PWCC auction, is that a rookie card? Because that could also explain the price difference, right?
Yeah, so I think that it would not be, but I would guess that I would say there's a fair shot that that Federer is probably the first one of its kind, though. I guess in the same way, I guess like the Hamiltons, like even though it's not his rookie card per se, it's the first kind of Chrome card. So I guess the Federer may end up being the first Federer kind of patch auto, so to speak.
Yeah. So it's like not a true rookie, but it's like the best. It is like
Yeah, it's the best we're gonna get for that kind of situation.
Yeah, no,
and then yeah,
interesting.
Another thing I think we talked about, like kind of not online before, right? Is really just like what, because this is always going to be a reminder of like when Topps Chrome Tennis is coming, like how I think that's very very probably one of the hottest kind of anticipated releases, right? In terms of, will it? I'm curious. Do you think it will do kind of like F1 Chrome numbers, right? When they debuted last year, right? Will it be the F1 Chrome of this year?
I think so. I mean, I feel like, how do I explain this? I wonder if the tennis checklist will be similar to the F1 checklist in that it'll be very, very insert heavy. That's like one thing that I didn't like about F1 Topps Chrome was that, there's kind of like only two base cards in that set, right? Like, for example, for Lewis Hamilton, there is the one where he's sitting down and the one where he's like standing up. And also, I guess the auto, if you consider that. But like, there's so many different types of variations of like, so many different variations of the inserts that kind of like dilutes the appeal of the set, in my opinion. I don't know, like how many players do you think are going to be in that Topps Chrome Tennis set? Because like, there's 20 F1 drivers. If there's not so many like players that are going to be included in the Topps Chrome Tennis set, like I could feel the same thing happening.
I was told that the vets will all be in there too, right? Like McEnroe or Michael Chang or those as well to fill it out. But I mean, I guess historically, like vets in modern products, as legendary as they may be, I think never really get too much respect, in terms of sell value, it seems.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. Like, I feel like you see that in like basketball, right? Like Magic Johnson 2012 Gold Prism. It's an expensive card, but it doesn't really command the same price as this, like, Kobe or LeBron. It's more of like a nice definitely. To have. Like, no one actually, like, you ask people, they're never like really chasing them. It's just more of a nice to have.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, certainly, I think, whether it's like, I guess like Serena and Naomi will probably end up being like the chases of those. I'm sure that, like the Osaka Superfractor will be a very, very kind of hotly chased card, right? It's kind of like people will be chasing that down, like how people are chasing the triple LeBron logo man with Flawless.
When is the Topps Chrome set coming out?
I actually don't know. I've always asked about it. I asked a couple of like the big, e-commerce retailers, and they're just like, I don't know. They're just like, it comes out when it comes out. Because I haven't seen anything about like any like Dutch auctioning or allocation. Like I haven't heard anything about it other than the fact that it will come this year. That's the only thing I know.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that. I wish they did. I wish they did more like on card autos for Topps Chrome though. I know for baseball, like Topps Chrome baseball is all sticker, right? Actually, no, that's not true.
Yeah,
some of them are sticker, some of them are on card. Most of them are sticker though. So I wish they would do some on card autos. Do you know if Osaka will be? Do you think she'll be autographing the Topps?
Yeah,
Topps Chrome. Actually, probably not, right? Because she's signed with Upper Deck.
Well, Osaka definitely. I mean, I think that she probably was one of the single-handedly biggest value drivers for Goodwin this year, right? I think Goodwin was a very, very popular product, partly because, in my opinion, there are amazing RPAs of her in there, particularly like the tribute one, right? The ones that look like the LeBron RPA with the R-shaped patch window. Yeah, it's amazing. And definitely, I think it's a steal of a product at $200 a box.
I've always wondered, like, why do you think the patch window is R-shaped? It's kind of like a random letter, right?
Oh, why is it R-shaped? Yeah. I always thought that it was just stood for rookie.
Oh, that makes sense. because there are no examples of that card that are non-rookies, right?
With that patch window, yeah, correct.
Gary, what do you think of
that
this?
The future, yeah. So I mean, congrats to Mint 10, right? They're the ones that got this. I saw it on Ski's Instagram when he posted that they won this. I mean, this is one of those things, right? It's going to be, but this is the fact that this card is still kind of running at that 300K level, I think is the beauty of the hobby, where I think it's very clear, right? Like, people don't just have to follow trends, they can make trends, meaning that when I think of this versus the Prayer Hands 2020 Topps Chrome, it's one of those cases. It's going to end up being like is it the Fleer Jordan or the Star Jordans, right? Like, which one is his rookie and which one deserves that title? And I think that because F1 cards kind of became such a big hit, like as of last year, that debate is still raging, right? And I think that this one, I think it reminds me actually of not Showcase, but like Flair, from like that kind of like 96 period ish. So there's a certain classiness. I must say, it doesn't seem to be the best picture of Hamilton. I guess he definitely, as the kids say, had a glow up, since his success.
Yeah.
But the other thing about this is I actually don't even know the total print run. Like, I've heard 300, I've heard less than that. Like, because the only thing that makes me nervous about this is that like the overall pop is so low. It's just of like, not talking about pop 2.9, it's just the total pop that exists in PSA is super low. So, I really do wonder, like how the pop will evolve over time.
Yeah, I know, that's definitely interesting. It's like, I remember last auction in March, I was bidding on this card in PSA 8.
Yeah.
The PSA 9 was a pop 1. I remember when I scanned it back, it said there was one higher. Fast forward 2 months later, it's now a pop 2, right? So,
yep.
I'm also curious, like, the provenance of this card. Like, did someone find it like in their binder or something? Just decide to send it and grade it, right? Like, that's also really interesting. I also always love hearing those stories. But yeah, like, like I think it's also like, yeah, like how many of these are there out there, right? Never really know.
Yeah, and I think that this is another kind of classic reminder, along with the Serena card, right? Like, these are two examples of cards that with big value, huge collector bases that don't come from the big three, right? Like Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, where, like you said, right? Like, always take care of all the things that you love, right? Because you really never know when somewhere down the line the market's going to turn around to want these things. Because I'm sure this is the classic example of kind of like the mantles, right? Like, where most of the existing supply are probably in the worst possible ways to store it, but because of that creates like the interestingness of this card, because it will create that normal curve of condition, right? You'll probably end up having everything from like PSA 4s to maybe a 10, or maybe it'll be capped at 9, just because, yeah, like, people weren't necessarily thinking, right, to slab these when these first came out.
Was Lewis Hamilton a big deal in 06?
No. Like,
people didn't really care about him, right? Like, it was...
No. So the story, I think, is that when McLaren signed him, McLaren was not a peak team, because around this time, like, you still had like the Ferraris were still kind of dominating, right? Like, they still had their super heydays, right, with like the Schumacher and that kind of era. And he essentially, joined along with it was almost like he kind of busted in the same way almost like a Tiger Woods did, like, there was kind of established vets that had won and all that kind of stuff was going on, and he kind of came with a not so successful team and then pulled them into like sheer dominance, right? Or maybe the better parallels, maybe like a Tom Brady,
Tom Brady, right?
So good. Yeah.
So
he just ran and dominated.
That was kind of what I was thinking, right? It's like, a lot of the like, I bet there are a lot of Tom Brady Contenders Championship tickets that are just lying around or just like thrown away because people, didn't know that it was going to be such a big card, right? In the same way.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know if there was also like that like issue, like that same stigma towards like college uniform cards, but like, like, I'd imagine like a lot of Brady rookies in his Michigan uniform were probably like thrown away because people didn't really care about them, right? They're like, oh, it's college uniform, it's not a professional NFL uniform. who is a Tom Brady guy, right? So I wonder if a
Yeah,
lot of these ended
that's
up in the trash as well.
you bring up actually a very interesting thing that
I've always been kind of a bit like hoping would turn the other way is that collegiate cards, like I feel like
are mostly
these Bluetooth cards are mostly here. These
cards are mostly here to satisfy collector appetite before the licensed like pro leagues come out. But some of the cards are like super beautiful, like the patches are beautiful. I feel like there's a certain appeal that you're kind of really getting in on a player before anyone really knows them, right? And so, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like sometimes like, I'll see like, what is it? Like the other day I saw LaMelo Star Swatches one, the one with the Burger King patch. I was like, oh, it's a really cool card. But it's him in his Australia jersey. It's like red. I'm like, like maybe not anymore. But if that had like a Hornets jersey on it, that would be, a super chase card.
No, definitely. I was very hypnotized by the Hungry Jacks LaMelo Ball patch. Also, like, it was one of those things where there was a period of time where a lot of the illegal NBA streams, I'm not saying that I watched them, but I'm saying that when my friends watch them, sometimes it uses the Australia feeds, and like every other commercial is Hungry Jacks. And
it's not. It's not Burger King.
Yeah, it's not Burger King. It looks like Burger King, but it's Australian Burger King. But yeah, I always thought that that was such a cool card of his. I feel like if LaMelo really lives up to his promise, and you're going to have full on collectors. Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be an awesome card.
Yeah, me too. The only issue is like, I think the color is a little ugly. He's like wearing red.
Yeah, yeah.
This one is interesting. I feel like it ended. I really like this card. The 1-in-1 Timeless Moments card.
Yeah, I mean the whole Timeless Moments series, right? Like this made. I think from a lot of people's perspectives, even during the sheer like inferno of hotness that the basketball market was in 2020, 1-in-1 was probably considered by many to be the product of the year. And Timeless Moments, I think the thing I love the most about it is that it encouraged people to actually be set collectors. Like not everyone necessarily just wanted the Curry and the like the Dame Lillards or like the super duper stars, but like people really love. Like I really love the Vince Carter one. I really love the Rodman where he's fully horizontal chasing for the ball. I really like how they basically create a set that really comes after the set collectors.
Yeah, I think they really did a good job with like the images that they picked. Like what was that one? The one with like Anthony Edwards, the poster.
Dunking on Roy. That was, as an Asian person, that hurt. That hurts, but it's also a crazy picture. Yeah, so in a way, I guess I'll allow it.
I guess 22K was a little bit low on this card, I think. But I guess like the I mean, if you look close, like the edge, the corner is like really messed up.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough because I feel like, when I've seen any copy of these come up, the Currys, because there was a second one in this auction. I think it was the out of 25, the base one.
Yeah.
But man, like the full bleed edges, and they're black. It's just like the Noir problem. Like they are all damaged.
Yeah, I think I saw that one. I think I saw that one too. Actually sold the green one out of 5, maybe like 3 weeks after it came out. That one like miraculously like was not messed up. I sold it to a Chinese buyer. Like some guy really wanted it.
Oh, I mean that's a good buy from him then, because I imagine there's not going to be too many of these in PSA or BGS slabs down the line, just because I think people just don't want to see that low number on there.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of which, like I saw I think I sent you this photo. I saw a Luka Korkings level 4 rookie in PSA 10.
Yeah.
That one was a beautiful card, and it was a pop one to ended last week.
Yeah,
I thought that was absolutely beautiful. But same problem.
I think, definitely that's an underrated product for sure. I think those are very like the painterly kind of style. Same thing with like Timeless Moments, and even back in the day when it was like the chronology Timeless Moments. It's just a very clean, classic card, and I love anything kind of signed in gold pen. I think it's very nice.
Yeah. I really like seeing the Magic and Bird one, the one where they're like it's like a horizontal card.
Yes.
And they have like the trophies on the table. That's a beautiful card.
Yeah, that's a really and it's like it kind of goes to show, right? Like again, it's just a reminder to people that you don't have to always follow just buying the super duper stars and buying anything of it, right? That there are cards that really, when done well, can really kind of be backed up by the dollar value. But also it's such a collector's piece, right? So it's like if you're from that era or you know about basketball, you know how important that image is.
Yeah, this one is absolutely beautiful.
Yep. And I think even rare for these is they also, I think, had parallels, right? There's also the green chronologies. So I think I've seen a Jordan one sell on Goldin not too long ago. I forgot what it was numbered to, but yeah, it didn't even occur to me that there are parallel versions of it.
Yeah, me neither. I think there's the Jordan. I know for sure there's a Jordan out of 10. And like, I think similarly there's like out of 99. It's a different variation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you ever
also, I saw like.
Oh yeah.
We're just looking at. Oh, so yeah, just like that Shaq. I think it's good to see the Shaq cards kind of get that kind of love, like get into 30K mark, just because it's like, I think historically, they always talk about in the hobby that there's like a big man bias. Like, you could be as dominant as he is, but it just doesn't really drive up in card prices. But with him, I feel like, maybe even I can intuitively feel a little bit of that bias, even my own collecting habits. But I mean, Shaq is just transcendent, like he in a way, like his personality is like, larger than life. He's almost like bigger than the game at times, and now he's a great commentator for TNT. Like, I just kind of baffles me that he doesn't have like a bigger, more kind of crazy collector's base,
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't know a single Shaq collector, but this is really, really cool to see. Like kind of like that. What is it? The Brady we saw last time, the gold lettering.
This was really, really cool.
Also matches the gold jersey.
Yeah.
The only one-of-one masterpiece for real this time. Right?
Yeah, and then
there's no
the full
backdoor copy lying somewhere.
Yeah. That's definitely one. I mean, the numbering system is so complicated. I'm sure it's easy to spot fakes because like the number of things you have to get right to get that numbering stamp to be good is, I'm sure it's a tough one. Yeah,
no, that's. What do you think? If you're a grading company, or I think just like hypothetically, if you're a PSA or PGS, like what would you look at to determine the authenticity of like these super rare cards like this?
Yeah, so I mean, I have so I know with like certain I've read articles about certain cards I bought like in Magic the Gathering or Pokemon, which I'm sure probably is the case in one is typeface. I mean, even the Jordans, right? Like the Jordan Fleer rookies. One is taking a look at like the typeface. Sometimes like they're not exact matches, right? So that's one tell I know I've read a lot about. Another one, people have actually, if you take it under a microscope, right, you can actually see the printing pattern. So like, basically because all these cards are effectively, right, like they're red, green, and blue, basically just like stamped over each other. But sometimes like the orientation, like sometimes like the red, the green, the blue will be kind of offset in like an X shape. Sometimes they'll be offset in like in a cross shape. Sometimes they'll be like a diamond. And so you can actually look at kind of like the dot patterns at a micro level, at least for the vintage cards, right? But these modern era cards, I imagine a big part of it would just be the typeface of whatever stamped on, right? To really be those big tells.
That's interesting. I never really thought about the comparing the crisscross pattern. But I guess, if you kind of like have like, say for example, another player, Flair Showcase Masterpiece 1/1, I guess you could compare like they're printed from the same press, right?
Yeah.
So maybe compare like the typeface from that.
Definitely. And I would say the ones like, I would say for these types of cards, the first thing my eye would incline to is to really go like super zoomed into the foil stamp.
Yeah.
Because I think from a manufacturing standpoint, it just feels like, that would be the
toughest thing.
The toughest thing to correct.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And like there's copies of like Kobe and Jordan for that card too, right?
Yes. Yeah, but I mean, who knows, where they are. So
do
yeah,
you
the
know where
masterpieces.
Do you know where any of those are? Have you seen any of those before?
Not the Flair Showcase Master. So I mean, there's one Flair Showcase Masterpiece, the 98 Kobe ones on SCP right now, ending next week.
Oh wow. 90.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
With no bids on it so far. So yeah, for anyone that's interested, yeah, come go over to SCP. Like
SCP.
it's ready for the taken.
Ooh, look at this triple. I know last time you said you liked the vertical orientation. This is kind of cool. You see the players all side by side, and then you have the logos next to auto. Haven't really seen that before.
This is super clean, definitely, and it goes back to what you're saying, right? Like you can still tell it's their jerseys, so it's just not their face straight up. That's always kind of like a nice touch to have.
You think there's a bias against acetate cards? This is acetate, right?
Yes, definitely. Oh yeah, for sure. I think that I love acetate cards. But yeah, I think people just stylistically, for some reason, there is a bias for sure.
Yeah. I don't understand why.
There was that period of time. I mean, like I think with Panini, right? They kind of went overkill when they made the Clearly product, and then they just took optic cards and made them all acetate. I think that kind of a bit detracted from some of the value and appeal. But I do remember during this age too, during the late 90s, early 2000s, Upper Deck was trying to make acetates of so many things. And so like I know Klay Thompson's year, and like there's a lot of these like see-through cards, that perhaps like if I were to guess, like maybe there was a bit of like an overdoing of these types of cards. But that being said, like in principle, yeah, 3 on-card autos like this, I think is insane.
Yeah, can be yours for the easy price of $387K.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But also it's worth noting, like while acetate are like they look like kind of not to be confused with glass, right? I think glass cards tend to seem to grade really well oftentimes, but acetates, I think they scratch so obscenely easily. I know like we were chasing the Court Kings acetate Luca like back in the day, like 2018-19, just ripping those packs of Court Kings, and like you just slide the card out wrong and you can almost tell like the slash you made across the card by just like, because it's the same direction you took the top card off it, so yeah, when I see a 10 of this, I was like, oh my gosh, crazy.
Yeah, I kind of always thought acetate and glass were like kind of the same thing, but you're right. Glass cards grade really easily. Like I think my only black label was on a glass, one of those glass cards. But
was it the authentic?
It was like a Ja Morant glass card. I don't remember the name, but it's like the one with like little like
there's no
dots.
Color, right?
There's no color. Yeah, it's like kind of you can't really see. You can't really see the player. It's like a glass slab.
That's the memorabilia one.
Absolute memorabilia, yes.
Absolute memorabilia, yeah.
Yeah, those grade very easily. If you look in the pop report, like 80% of them are BGS 10s. How do you think you can grade a card without corners? Like, what is your opinion?
Yeah. That's a great. Wait, actually, is this acetate or is this actually glass? Because it looks thick.
I think it's acetate. I don't think. I don't think Upper Deck made glass cards.
Yeah. That's a good question. I guess like did this even get a subgrade? I guess it got 10, obviously. So it's a non-subgrade, or it is subgrade 10. Yeah. So I guess they probably just are looking for just like uneven or scuffed kind of rounding corners,
Interesting. It's like cards like I always think it's pretty funny when you see like cards like Jambalaya. They're just circular cards with no corners. Like how do you assign a corner grade to like someone that has no corners, right?
Yeah, for sure. Or like like back in the day, the Flair Showcase, like the hot hands, like where there's technically like 11 corners or like 60 corners, So yeah, but I mean for those cases, same thing. If I see like a 10 corner on one of those, it just seems so awesome, because the probability of a complex die cut being in good shape is just so low.
Yeah, especially for something that was printed so long ago.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is nice.
Yeah, amazing patch. Amazing patch.
Yeah, I'm talking about
A gold
talking about
LeBron.
the LeBron gold.
Oh, this one popped back up. I mean, yeah, compared to at
You
least
think so?
well, I mean, compared to the flashback, but I can see how this one would be considered like the top of the heap, you know, like in terms of it's the base card, kind of, you know, it leans toward that kind of cleanliness, non-insert, beauty. I think this one's a greater color match than the one we saw in PWCC, you know, the flashback one that went for like 21.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
one
like
doesn't
this
pop up
better
that
for
often.
sure.
Yeah, this is beautiful. I would have expected to go a little bit higher, but
Yeah. Oh, a Duncan masterpiece. Nice.
Oh. So this is not the same one. This is not from the same product as like the other one we saw, right? This one is
No, yeah, this is Flare Ultra. This was one of those weird years too. It's like for some reason, they thought it was stylistically cool just to do like an arched die cut, even though it's actually this one it frames it really nicely. I feel like the way the action shot, his hands kind of like going in that half circular motion, anyways, to get the rebound, but it was a kind of a weird die cut style.
Yeah, I like the style. I don't like the rest of the design. Like you can't even tell it's one of one unless you look at the back.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one with the gold lettering, it was like very, very clear. I guess it says masterpiece on the front, but the M is also covered by the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in this digital age too, these cards kind of struggle because they just don't scan well. Like I'm sure like the foiling
would look better in person, but then right now it just looks kind of black. Yeah, there's another card that didn't pop up here, but then there's the Leclerc 101. You know,
let's talk about
F1 that one went way higher than I thought. I remember seeing it at 40K, I think 2 days before, and thinking, oh, like, you know, if it hits 100, that'd be so cool. But oh my gosh, 264. This was, I think, might have been this one. I'm 1,000% sure was owned by in Asia originally. Just because I think it popped up on, I think maybe Penny's Instagram, or there's also an influencer in Taiwan that had it in hand talking about it. But it's good. I mean, it's cool to see that it got let go. He is definitely on fire. It's either him or Verstappen that seems to be in top position to win it this year. You know.
Do you think this makes the Hamilton seal look cheap? Hamilton did 900, right?
Now it is. Oh yeah, definitely, right? Because like Leclerc definitely, you know, in this case is really not even Patrick Mahomes. Maybe he's like Josh Allen or Joe Burrow compared to the Tom Brady that is Hamilton, you know.
Dang, we should have bought it.
Yes, the Hamilton. Yeah, I think so. And you know, but I think if we take that direction, then like we have to. It's very clearly where we stand. We're part of the 2020 bros. That the prayer hand is the true rookie, even though he's over 30 and about to retire. You know, so,
that is true.
Yeah, but I think Charles Leclerc is definitely doing well. Like Dynasty products, I think still don't get enough love as they should. I haven't seen a zipper card out in a while. I thought those were amazing. There's one that was sold last year for Hamilton on Goldin for I think 34,000. I lost out on that one, and definitely I regret it because definitely always like the zippers.
You think the zipper does more or less than a logo sponsor patch?
So what people told me originally, like the manufacturers, the distributors were telling me that the zippers were meant to play kind of the logo man role.
I see. Not the actual logos.
I think the cool thing about F1, the actual logos. Yeah, I think that because there's so much happening on a driver's suit that certain logos are more value than others.
Oh, it's interesting.
Like I think you showed me a card. Maybe it was from this year's Dynasty, right? It actually had the Lewis Hamilton nameplate on it. Yeah. That one I think is really cool. Yeah,
that's really.
And the one of one had the one of one from this year was the UBS key, right?
It's this one. It's this part of the logo.
Yeah. That's also a cool one. I think
that's really cool. Do you know if there's one with the AMG? I feel like the AMG one's probably the coolest one.
Oh yeah.
That would be sick.
I agree. No offense to Hewlett Packard and CrowdStrike, but no, I would be not disappointed, but definitely I guess I would. I would like other patches.
Okay, so if you could pick like 3 patches on the suit, what would you pick?
Oh, okay. So UBS for sure.
UBS would be number 1.
The 3 key part for me, yes.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's just very complex and interesting. It's like it reminds you of the spur on the Spurs. I would say, yeah, the part of the AMG that's where the A is, where there's kind of like almost like the stripes running to the left. That's one. And I would say, looking at here, let's see. I'm kind of torn between the Monster logo, not because I like it, but it's just I think the positioning right on the collar is kind of cool, or the dead center Mercedes logo. Because that one, I think that it would have to be dead center, where it's actually the center of that point. Otherwise, it would kind of look a little janky if it was just like the corner of that circle.
It also wouldn't fit, right?
Correct. The whole logo would not fit. Yeah, you would only get a small piece, which is why I would want the center of it.
Yeah.
Because then you would still get the geometry right. But if you got a corner, it would just look horrible.
Yeah. No, this is. I didn't realize how many sponsors there are in F1 jersey compared to like an NBA uniform.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what you're going to end up having in future versions of Dynasty is that you're going to get some people that are going to end up with like the crypto logo, and if that crypto happens to take off, people are going to be like, oh yeah, it's the Ethereum rookie card. It's just like, like how Drake pops up in a random card of CJ Miles and then that pops off, right? So like I think that'll be an interesting twist. I hope happens down the line.
This is really cool. So where do you think where does the zipper come from?
I think so when you lift open the flap, there's a zipper that runs down the suit, because the suit basically zips up and then there's a whole flap that velcros over.
I see. Okay. Yes. Interesting. And there is one. How many zipper patches have you seen?
I've literally only seen 2 ever. I've seen the Hamilton on Goldin, and I saw a Vettel one on eBay.
Oh, so you only seen one Hamilton?
Yeah, ever. But I'm 100% sure it was no 101.
It was not. Okay.
It was. I think I was out of a 5. Yeah.
Are there other 1-of-1 Hamiltons that are not the UBS patch? Do you think, or is there only? Do you think there's only one 1-of-1?
Oh no, there's another 1-of-1. Yeah, there's the triple window.
Oh, but that was the ugly one, right?
This year, the triple windows are a complete disaster.
Yeah,
because they're all napkin patches. Like, how can you do that? Like, you have 3 tries to get a cool patch on there, and you don't get it right once.
Yeah. Interesting.
Like at least give me like what we're talking about. Like, how cool would it be if those 3 patch would like you took like your top 3 like sponsor logos and you just put them like in each of those 3 windows.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Kind of like I don't know if you've seen like the Topps triple threads. Like the Brady ones.
Yeah.
Whether or not you believe those patches are real or fake, that's like a different story. But like there was one triple window where it had like NFL shield, Reebok logo, and like something else. And it looked really, really cool. Granted, like some people think it's like someone like swapped out the patches. But the idea, I think it's more of the idea, right? The idea would have been cool.
Yeah, because I mean, even if we see in this current market, right, like with the LaMelo NT or the Ant NTs, like it's very obvious these aren't player worn in any way, shape, or form due to COVID constraints or whatever constraints, but people are still into it, Like, yeah.
Oh, you don't think this is player worn?
Well, if you look at the back, I think it says authentic memorabilia, but then it says it's a vague wording. It's like, not specific race, event, or season. So I don't know what that means. Maybe it means they touched it, and so in that sense, it's a memorabilia. But which I guess would be okay. But I guess I am hoping it's not something where it's like they did a Zoom conference and they showed them a box of jerseys, like Hamilton looking at it, across the webcam counts as memorabilia.
Hopefully not. Yeah, like another thing I feel like they could do is like it would be sick if they like circled where on that jersey the patch is from. So if they circled like the OROW on the CrowdStrike logo, that would be cool. Like a red box or something,
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I hope that talking to you fanatics, like when you start to get the NBA licenses and stuff like that, like there's a lot of things around memorabilia that can be definitely improved upon. That because it's really cool to see. I mean, I love one of the favorite things I love reading about on blowout forums is when people somehow insanely wind up photo matching patches.
Yeah.
To
They're
the
like,
game.
oh, it's from this game.
Wow.
It's from like,
Yeah.
Someone scored. I think like one person who's really good at that is like Spinatron. Like he found the exact photos, which is of like certain cards. I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we are running short on time. This Zoom meeting is about to get kicked out. But it was certainly a pleasure chatting with you, Gary, about each of these items that ended on last Saturday's Goldin Auctions.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Yeah, definitely. Love to keep doing it. So
yeah, it was awesome.